of the US is distributed pretty unevenly. Let's draw a line right through the middle of the country. It'll run from North Dakota in the north to Texas in the south. Once you input census data and do some math, astounding figures appear. 80% of the US population lives east of the imaginary line. The remaining 20% live to the west. That's just 1 in 5 Americans, such as Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco. Just look at a satellite map of the US at night. The right part is shiny, pretty bright right. Why is there such a huge imbalance in population? The East Coast is the place where the US became independent. In 1776, these are the original 13 colonies. Soon enough, settlers started spreading westward. One important milestone was the Louisiana Purchase. Today, this region is mostly what we call the Midwest. The area aligns nicely with the Mississippi watershed. This means plenty of fertile soil, ideal for agriculture. But does this automatically mean a spike in population? The demographics of the US reveal that a majority of its citizens live either on the east or the west coast. This leaves a large patch of land in the middle of the country, virtually empty. People know it as America's underpopulated belt. The area stretches from the Canadian border in the north to Mexico in the south. The total surface area of this strip of land is 350,000 square miles. That's twice the size of California. One massive piece of land. In fact, this narrow strip accounts for 12% of the contiguous United States. That's the US without Alaska and Hawaii. The belt runs north to south through 7 states. But his population makes up only 1% of the total number of people living in the United States. Now, this doesn't mean that the area is completely empty. It's still home to just over 3 million people. That's roughly the population of the island country of Jamaica. But there is room here for many more residents. Why isn't the American Midwest living up to its potential? Well, time for one last history lesson. I've already mentioned how the United States expanded from the East Coast to the West Coast. This doesn't mean that the West was lagging too far behind. Take, for example, the cities of San Francisco in Los Angeles. They were incorporated in 1850. This just 13 years after Chicago. The following year, Portland, Oregon became incorporated. You get the picture. And then in 1869, the United States completed building its first transcontinental railroad. In terms of transport, the country was unified. There's no historical reason strong enough to explain why so few people live in the center of the country. If you look at the physical map of the United States, you'll notice that this belt lies in the Great Plains. As the name suggests, the area is flat, which should be ideal for large settlements. Well, not really. East of this region, there is a huge patch of the color brown. It's covered by mountains, but not just any mountains. These are the Rockies. The range is around 76 million years old. It has several peaks over 14,000 feet, and most of the Rockies are national parks, a vast nature reserve, but most importantly, the range plays a vital role in the region's climate. Wet weather systems form over the Pacific Ocean. Then they travel east where they meet the Rockies. Now the air has to go up over the mountains. This is where it cools down and condenses. The final result, a lot of rain and snow for the people living on or west of the range, and just a few drops east of it. When air from the Pacific finally reaches the Great Plains, it doesn't contain much moisture anymore. In fact, the weather system starts taking up moisture from the surrounding landscape. This creates an arid climate east of the Rocky Mountains. That's the exact location of the belt, where so few Americans live. It's one of the driest parts of the country. So when settlers came in the 19th century, I'll just continue west. Plus, there was the gold rush in California they were heading for. The climate in this part of the plains isn't great for agriculture, and huge fluctuations in air temperature don't help either. In a single day, temperatures can drop from 70 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. These sudden changes in outside temperature are harmful to human health. It's like stepping inside an air-conditioned room on a sizzling summer day. Not a pleasant feeling. Southern California has a similarly dry climate, yet close to 40 million people live there. This makes California the most populous U.S. state. Their secret: a vast network of irrigation canals and aqueducts, plus a share of water from the Colorado River. Summers in the Great Plains get very hot, while winters are extremely cold. The reason behind these wild weather patterns are polar winds. They get a piggyback ride along the ridges of the Rockies and then rapidly descend into the plains. A winter day in Wyoming, for example, can start pleasantly warm, but later in the afternoon, the temperature can easily drop below zero. You just wouldn't know how to dress, and you probably wouldn't want to relocate here. That's what 99% of Americans think too. Humans like to feel comfortable, so we choose to live in temperate climate zones. Places that are either too cold or too hot, don't have a large population. The United States is not a unique example. America is the land of opportunity, but chances of finding a better life are greater in large cities. The country's top 100 metropolitan areas account for at least 3/4 of the nation's GDP, and most of them are located on the East and the West Coast.